Todd, is everybody available except for Kane and Appleton tonight?
Yes,
And Gibson, are you going back to him?
Gibson. Yeah.
Okay. And just yesterday with the news that Bergeron was waived, was it a case of a guy like that just not being able to crack the top two lines on a consistent basis that make him
Well,
difficult to put in the lineup?
sometimes it Bergie's a real good hockey player. He's a good human being, and when opportunity dries up in one spot, you got to think about the individual a little bit too. And maybe he'll get an opportunity. We'll find out later today if somebody will pick him up and give him an opportunity. And but he's an offensive producing player that probably hasn't produced enough offense when we put him in the lineup. He's been somewhat reliable though defensively, and sometimes these things just happen.
Was there any thought to putting him? I know you guys called up John, obviously, but to putting him in that spot with DeBrincat?
Yeah, we had him in Edmonton when JVR back-to-back games when JVR came out, so he did get an opportunity there. Not necessarily in that spot, but
Just the last two games against the Islanders, I think it was a combined 12-3 score. What have you learned the most about playing against the Islanders, and what can you do to especially turn the tables tonight?
12-2. It's worse than you made it out to be, but thank you. Well, they're a really, really good hockey club. I think Patrick has done a tremendous job. Their staff of getting them organized. The kids that have come in, obviously with Schaefer, but Heineman and Holmstrom's evolved. Shabanov like these guys have made a huge difference to their team. They're getting some good goaltending. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. 3 of those were against Colorado, and they only gave up a combined 3 goals in those games. So that's how well they're playing. So the first thing we have to do, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be thinking that they're a really good hockey club after the licking they laid on us the last 2 times, is understand they play a very structured game all over the rink, both offensively and defensively. And if you get loose, they have guys that will make you pay for that. And we saw it not necessarily in the first game. We weren't any good in the first game, but the second one I thought we came to play, and all of a sudden you're down and you're chasing it, and they play well enough defensively. So just understanding and respecting how good that team is will give us a head start on where we've been the other 2 games against them.
And then 9 points for Alex DeBrincat on that 6-game road trip, and he's kind of putting himself into the conversation to potentially even be named to the USA Olympic roster. What has stood out the most about his performance, maybe besides the offense?
Well, the competitiveness again. He plays in some tough situations. He plays against 6'4", 6'5" defensemen, the top pair some nights over and over and over again, and he remains competitive. Even when the gas tank's running on empty, which it does sometimes, he brings it. And not just this trip, but just our Trenton and my time here with the Red Wings, we had an idea how good Cat was, but he's really shown us more than I would have known being in LA or San Jose or Edmonton all those years, just how well he competes. And his shot and his offense and his mind and all that type of stuff, but just his competitiveness.
Todd, sorry, I was looking at a stat thing the other day. I'm curious your thought on this. You guys are 11-3 when you get outshot. When you outshoot the other team, you're 7-8-3. I'm just curious. Besides just the answer of goaltending, what are the things when you kind of look at that, and when it comes to outshooting an opponent, or when you get outshot and the win-loss on that? I was curious to get your thought on that.
Yeah, sometimes the mentality of the game changes a little bit. We're probably not the only team that's in that situation. If you get a lead, we saw it the other night in Chicago. I think we were outshot in the third period. They have to throw everything they can at you, and they do. They pinch, not they being Chicago, but the opponent pinches more. It can be reckless. It sometimes doesn't matter going the other way if they're going to get themselves back into the game. So all of a sudden the volume of shots goes up, and maybe our mentality is to defend more or back off, which is not what we want. We want to defend well, not more and not backing off. But perhaps that happens when you're leading.
And you mentioned it's something where you look at league wide. Is it something where? Is it something? It can't just be this team, right? Like you look at other places you've coached. Is that just something you kind of have to coach into guys of the defend well versus sitting back and everything like that?
Yeah, it's, you know, the over the years the game has changed. Pittsburgh, the last two nights had 3 or 4 goal leads in the third period. We had one in Calgary the other day, and momentum swings are huge, and you can feel it. You know, I don't even have the equipment on, and I'm behind the bench. You can kind of feel it. You can feel it when it's going your way, and you can feel it when it's going against you. And good teams sustain it when they need it, and good teams stall it or stop it when they need that stall or stop. And you know, I can't explain why it happens, but I'm sure it's the mentality of, you know, you're in the boxing ring, you know, you haven't won the first 9 rounds. I got to knock this guy out, so I'm swinging big, and whatever happens to me happens to me. I think that's what the team that's losing, what their approach is. So.
You talked yesterday about coming up on the 1 year since you took over. Obviously, the message at that time was a lot about playing instinctively and not robotically. Now I feel like we're hearing a lot more game management. I know those two things aren't mutually exclusive, but how has that message from you evolved, do you think, in a year?
Well, initially we had to, you know, I think we talked about team spirit and just playing a little more free, and then we would work around the mistakes and the structure. You can't put everything in one day. In fact, we're still working on stuff. But further down the road, which we are now, we can now hold players a lot more accountable for their responsibilities on the ice. You know, positively and negatively, are they getting the job done? You know, do our actions live up to our actions, or inactions live up to what our stated goal is? Like I've heard guys on our team, you know, we have to make the playoffs. That's what we want to make. Well, do our actions live up to that night in and night out? Now it's easier to hold them accountable for that. We can talk about it because we know the players, they know the structure we're trying to use. Initially, it wasn't that. It was play free, let's find out what we have. And we were trying to discover them. They were trying to figure us out too. We should be through that phase now.
Hey, Dad, a kid like Schaefer, for them, there's so many more of these 18 and 19-year-olds that are coming in and making a big impact. Are they just more physically and mentally prepared to do that these days?
Well, some of these guys are unicorns. You know, not all of the 17 and 18-year-old first rounders or top 5 picks are doing what Schaefer's doing, or what Connor did, or what Eichel did. Connor, Eichel, and Matthews, I think they went 1, 2, 3, you know, 1 and 2 in 1 year, and then 1 the next. Made it hard on everybody because the next guy that came along, everybody just expected them to roll in and away you go. And Schaefer's probably doing it now. He's that good. He's a unicorn, and you know that defenseman that goes in the top 3 or 4 this year, he's going to have, you know, that'll be the comparison, and it's never fair. Unicorns are unicorns.
How do you know that Gibson is feeling comfortable when you're watching him? More comfortable now here this stretch?
I think he's got control of the blue paint. Now, what does that mean? He looks big, less rebounds, you know, not erratic, not all over the place, finding pucks through screens and fighting to find it, and he's looked that way. You know, when goalies are playing well, they just look bigger, and they look bigger to the coaching staff too, and he's done a good job.